Every Saturday, it never fails, there's at least one person that says, "You make maple syrup here in West Virginia?" My name's Paul Ronk, and you are now here at the Ronk Family Maple Farm. It's been in the family since 1859. My great-great-great-grandfather bought it. He bought 700 acres here for 25 cents an acre. And now we have 75 acres of that left, and we're making maple syrup now. I'm sure, though, that my great-great-grandfather made maple syrup, because back on the 25 acres of the maple bush, there's some big maples back there. And most of the farm over the year has been timbered. So you know, if they timbered it, they would have cut those maples down if they weren't making maple syrup with them. So I think it's been here in the family for a long time. Oh, I have another clue, is as far as we know, I have the oldest maple bottle of syrup in the world. It was made in 1859. Here in Lincoln County, I'm pretty sure it was made. It does have the date on it, but there's a few things that's been torn on the label that we can't make out exactly. And we have actually tested that, and it is still good. That is still good maple syrup. And it has never been refrigerated. We got started in sugar maple because my son and I would go up to Ohio to a friend of mine, and we would help him with his maple syrup there. And he had about 900 buckets. It took us all day long to go around and collect sap, which I thought was the craziest thing ever. But we had a good time cooking then all night long. After a week, we were ready to come back home, my son and I. But my friend asked me if I had any maple trees here in West Virginia. So I came home and went up the road real fast and counted 90 trees pretty quickly with a forester that was helping me identify those. And I called him back and I told him, and he says, "Well, then you need to come back up here and get my evaporator." He says, "I'm going to get a new one and you can have yours." And I started out with buckets myself, 40 buckets the first year, and it was tough. And then I thought, well, I'll just make it tougher the second year, and I'll put 80 in and see how much syrup I can make. I don't remember exactly, but I think I might have made 8 or 9 gallons of syrup that second year with 80 buckets. But then I told my wife, no more. We're done. Not doing syrup. It's too much work. I can't do this. But then I did find out about 3/16 line that summer at a fair, at the West Virginia Fair, and that got me perked up and going again. And I'm excited today to say I've been making maple syrup now for about 8 years, and I love it, absolutely love it. People are fascinated, really fascinated, that we actually make syrup here. Majority of the people in West Virginia do not know that there is syrup made here in West Virginia. I only have 250 trees tapped at this point in time. I will probably have more, but we lost my son in an accident 5 years ago, and him and I were partners, and so it's been a slow process getting myself built back up to get a lot bigger than we are. But the main thing that I like to focus on, and it's exciting to be the president of the West Virginia Producers Association here in West Virginia, is education. If we don't educate our children and the young people about maple syrup, there's not going to be maple syrup someday. And I think we're seeing that more and more. The young people aren't farming nowadays. So I try to get as many schools to come here as they can, and I take them through the process and explain to them, let them have maple cotton candy, let them taste the maple, let them taste the sap, explain the process to them in simple terms so they don't get confused. I love teaching the kids about maple. I have a liter evaporator. And it's low because it's an older model, and it don't have the hood on it. I let it go up through the roof there. And because it's low, the children can get right up to it, see it boiling, and I can explain the process to them. Sometimes I'm drawing off to, and that's really fascinating to them. And I want to keep it that way because of the education. And so maple is not the only thing that I do. That's my winter crop by far. But then I have my summer crop. So I raise tomatoes and half-runner beans. Then I raise a few goats and a few chickens, and I mess now with quail. Quail eggs is the way to go. Check that out, farrow quail. And so there's a lot of other things going on here at the farm. And another exciting thing is sycamore syrup. We made sycamore syrup last year. It's still in the experimental stage of figuring out the best time to tap it and all those aspects of it. This year, hopefully we're going to know a little bit more, but I'm really excited about the sycamore too, because it tastes like butterscotch. So I think if we mix the maple and the butterscotch, we're going to get a whole new syrup to introduce to the people. Well, maple sugaring in West Virginia is a challenge in a lot of ways, because we're southern and we have short seasons. They're not as long. And a lot of times we'll have the cold season and then we'll have 10 days of warm and cause that bacteria to build up in the taps, and so that cuts us off. So there's a lot of challenges here, but yet there's still a lot of possibilities here. One neat thing about the farm is the family. I love my family. And right now we have 11 grandchildren. We're truly blessed. And we have another one on the way in February. That'll make 12. And so it gets the whole family. And that's the reason we call it the Ronk Family Maple Farm, because we do all work together here on the farm to make it what it is. And you know, it takes many things to make maple happen. It takes leader. It takes their products and things to make this happen. So leader's a family too. So you get to know so many neat people in the maple industry. I just thoroughly enjoy that. I just got a blank. What blank? I'm sorry.